you were told today that you had 30 days to live? What would all of a sudden matter to you so much that you would spend these 30 days focusing on? What would be important to you, and what would you be willing right now to release that doesn't matter at all? Would you, if you had only 30 days to live, would you spend those 30 days counting your blessings as blessings? Instead of situations and issues maybe to just be endured? Would you make those phone calls that you've been putting off? Would you ask for forgiveness? Would you be rapid to forgive others? Would you look back on your life and know that you have lived your dash fully and completely? That you showed up and lived the life that you came here to live? Would you open your heart more? Would you encourage more? What would you do if you just had 30 days to live? Would you, well, you can answer that question. There was a great Hasidic leader once who came to his followers. His eyes were red with tears and his face pale with fear. And his followers came to him and said, "Zusia, Zusia, you look terrified. What happened?" And he replied, he said, "You know, I had a vision the other day. I had a vision. And in this vision, I was told what the angels will ask me when I come to the end of my life." And his followers said, "But Zusia, you're a pious man. You're humble and you're devoted and you've helped so many of us. What question could they ask you that would frighten you so much?" And he said, "I found out that at the end, they're not going to say to me, the angels are not going to ask, 'Zusia, why weren't you a Moses that led your people out of slavery?'" And they said, "Well, what are they going to ask you? What are they going to ask you that's so frightening?" And Zusia looks up at the heavens and he says, "And I found out they're not going to ask me, 'Why were you not a Joshua who led his people into the promised land?'" And so one of his followers came up to him face to face, put his hand on his shoulder and said, "Zusia, what are they going to ask you?" And he said, "Here's what I found out. The angels are going to say, 'Zusia, there's only one thing that we're going to ask you, and there's only one thing that nothing on heaven and earth could have prevented you from being and living the life that you were meant to live. Why weren't you, Zusia?'" And so we could say, when we come to the end of our time, which could even just be the end of this day, in an hour from now, to step back and look, are you living the life that you have come here to live? There's nothing the only thing that can stop us from being us is us. We've come here to live our life. I've come here to be Janet. I didn't come here to be Chandra or Diane or Valerie or Caitlin. I haven't come here only to be me. And at the end, when I'm going to look back, was I the me that I was meant to be? But sometimes what happens is we forget to live that dash. We forget because we have a lot of other things going up. Harold Kushner said this. He said, "I'm convinced that it is not fear of death, of our lives ending, that haunts our sleep, so much as the fear that as far as the world is concerned, we might as well have never lived." So we have come here to be us. But what happens is sometimes we allow false ideas, we allow the opinions of others, we allow our own internal mind chatter to inhibit us from fully living the life of our dreams, to fully showing up into who it is that we're supposed to be. And matter of fact, this happened to me. And when I was young, I remember vaguely, but I couldn't wait to grow up. I couldn't wait to get a little bit older. And so I got a little bit older. And when I got a little bit older, I remember thinking, I can't wait to actually even be older so I can move out on my own and make my own decisions. And everything I was, even as a youngster, putting it off. And then on my 18th birthday, I moved in with my then boyfriend, later husband, but my then boyfriend. And all of a sudden, his dreams became my dreams. And my life became about fitting in with him and doing what he wanted. And so his friends became my friends, and his goals became my goals. And he told me where to go to work, and told me where to apply for a job. And I did that. And I think maybe in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, someday it'll be my turn. Someday I'll remember to slow down and say, well, what do you want, Janet? But I didn't ask those questions because it was all about living someone else's life. And now fast forward many years into my dash, and I open my eyes one day and I'm thinking, what happened to my life? I'm living someone else's life. This is not the life that I dreamed of. The one thing I can absolutely remember, I wanted to join the Peace Corps badly. I really wanted to, 18 and join that. I don't know why. I don't even know that I knew what the Peace Corps was. I was just talking to somebody last night. And I think it really was about being of service, making a difference. But also maybe a little bit of adventure. But I didn't know how to join the Peace Corps. I didn't have support in that. And so that dream got buried. And whatever else kind of got buried. And I allowed other people's opinions, specifically the husband, the opinions of that I wasn't valuable enough, I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't something enough to go out and do whatever it is that I wanted to do if I even had broached that subject. So my life became about living someone else's dream. But sometimes it is like that with us, is that we're not living our dash. We have allowed the opinions of other people to stop us from moving forward. So as you're sitting in these seats right now, what is calling you? What has been niggling at you that you have been so effective at smushing down? Because it's not convenient. Because the timing isn't right. Because you have bills to pay. Because you have a family to take care of. There's always a great reason within our own mind why we're not moving forward. And it makes complete logical sense to us. But it's not spiritually logical. If we're hearing that desire, it's because there is a divine impulse within us that wants us to express our own brilliance, our own uniqueness, our own genius. It wants us to live our dash the way that we are meant to live it. But we're afraid. We're afraid of failing. We're afraid of being judged. We're afraid of looking foolish. We're afraid of failure. We're afraid of what other people are going to say. And so we stop. Maybe we have an idea for a new invention, but we don't do it. We don't move ahead. Who are we? And so maybe we want to sing or dance or crochet, or maybe we want to sculpt, or maybe we want to paint. But we have listened to other people in our life telling us that we don't have any talent, or that we need to pursue something that's going to be financially rewarding, and grow up, and get a job, and be responsible, and stop daydreaming. And we listen to those early messages, and we grow up, and we get a job, and we become responsible, and we stop daydreaming. And then one day maybe we wake up, and we realize that wasn't what we wanted. It's okay, it's good to be responsible. I'm not saying be irresponsible. But we could be responsible and have fun. We can be responsible and be creative. We can grow up and have a great imagination. We can have an exciting life and take care of our family. We're into this either-or scenario all the time. But it doesn't have to be either-or. It can be both and. Because we have come to live our dash. So sometimes, though, we're dashing to live. Right? We're dashing to live. Dr. Ernest Holmes says this. He says, there is an infinite reservoir of life within us. We may block its passage. We may short-circuit its current, but the reservoir is still there. And the flow is always ready. But we need to reopen the channels. Our problem is not with life itself, but with the use we are making of it. So sometimes all it is that we have short-circuited its flow. That's all. We've short-circuited the flow. We've made the flow of life, instead of a wonderful river, we kind of have diverted it, and now it's going around us. But it wants to come through. We just need to open our minds and hearts to a new way of living, to a new way of being. So to living our dash in a new way. What can we do? Who needs your love? Who needs your support? Who needs your encouragement? Who needs your forgiveness? And that who is probably sitting right in the chair and is very closer to you than your hand and feet. Because who needs it the most is we need our own love and support and encouragement, but others around us. When we come to fully live life fully, live our dash the way we are supposed to live, we are exalting the infinite. We are living life to the fullest. We are making good use of that dash. You know, in 2006, there was a movie with Adam Sandler called Click. And it's a movie about a man who had a family and a career, and he wanted to advance his career to take care of his family, but he was a little frustrated. You know, things were going slow, and it's challenging sometimes to balance both. And then one day he's watching TV and his remote control breaks, and he's extremely frustrated. You know, I mean, there's just one, you know, have you ever had those days? It's the last straw. Everything is going wrong. So he runs out to a store called Bed Bath & Beyond, and he gets a new remote control. He gets a universal remote by a brand new inventor. And so this remote control, come to find out, can pause, fast forward, and rewind your life. And so what he does is, he ends up fast forward. He wants this promotion, right, to take care of his family. So he'll click, and he fast forwards to his promotion, and he's thrilled, right? He's thrilled. You know, you get what you want. Let's say we have a goal. Whatever that goal is in life right now, whatever your goal is, we want that magic bullet, right? So we take that magic bullet. In his case, the magic bullet is this remote control. Bada bing, wow, promotion. It's really great, but the problem is, he's fast forwarded in his life a whole year. And in that whole year, what he doesn't realize, yeah, he's got the promotion, but he's missed this whole year with his life. Now, pretty soon, the remote control takes on a life of its own. And it's out of control, and he gets to the end of his life with great consequences. He has lost his family. He's, I mean, it's just with bad consequences because he's missed it all. And he's on his, let's say, his deathbed, and he says, this is not the life I wanted. And so the question is, are you living the life you want? Or are you living someone else's idea of the life you should want to live? Before we were born, we were created with a divine impulse and urge. We are one of the divine. We are the energy and the essence of the one. And if we don't allow ourselves to wake up and get a greater awareness of who we are meant to be and how we are to live our dash, we are thwarting the divine principle. We are canceling out our own inner genius, our own inner brilliance, our own magnificence for the sake of fear, for the sake of towing the line based on somebody else's opinions or ideas. We are meant to live the life abundant. We are meant to express the divine the only way that the divine can express as us, and that is as us. As each one of us individually, we have our own song. We have our own song to sing, our own talents, our own gifts, our own skills. We have our own awarenesses. We have our own brilliance. We have what it takes, but we need to live our own life. Our life matters. It matters a lot because that's why we're here. We're not meant to be a carbon copy. This month is about discovering the life you love. Are you living the life you love? I can tell you for many, many years, I was not living the life I loved. I wasn't even living the dash. I was existing the dash. And that is not a phenomenal or joyous or fulfilling place to live. We don't want to just exist within the dash. but we want to prosper and be abundant. We want to give joy. We want to joyfully exude enthusiasm within our own dash and make our life matter the way that it must matter, right? So living the dash is not about, it's not about living perfectly without any mistakes. Living the dash is not about comparing ourselves with others. Living the dash is not about allowing our monkey mind to have free reign in our head. Living the dash isn't about succumbing to every single fear that we have. Living the dash is not about entering and allowing the self-doubts and remorse and regrets to allow us to feel bad about ourselves. Living the dash is not about pleasing others and living someone else's dreams for us. No, living the dash is about coming to an awareness of who we are. Living the dash is really realizing that there is a power for good in the universe greater than we are that is expressing as us each and every moment of the day. Living the dash is the remembrance that there is only one thing, and that is God. It is divine essence. It is the energy of everything that is, and it is who we are, operating for us, through us, as us, continuously and never-endingly. Living the dash is living a life of joy and freedom and truth. Living the dash is being our authentic self. Living the dash is appreciating ourselves, acknowledging ourselves, recognizing our own talents, and not being afraid to step boldly and identifying ourselves with the truth of who we are, with our own greatness and our own brilliance and our own genius, and not hiding from that. Living the dash is about loving life. It's about loving ourselves. It's about being open, and it's about loving others. Living the dash is about joy and contentment and brilliance and magnificence. And that is what we have come to live. And I'm going to close. I've said this quote a number of times, and it's a great quote to me about what living the dash is. It's such a favorite of mine, I should have it memorized, but I don't want to give it wrong. I don't even know who said it. Could be Maxine from the Hallmark cards, right? But you know what? She's got it down. I'm getting my little clapper ready so I can be with it already. So she says this: life is not, it should not be a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in an attractive and well-preserved body. Of course, you know how many, we know people, right? 87 years old, but they're looking perfect. Okay, so it's not about that. But rather to skid in sideways. Chocolate in one hand. In my case, a martini. Vodka martini in the other. Body thoroughly used up. Totally worn out and screaming. Woohoo! What a ride. That's living the dash. Being engaged in life. Being used up. And if we're used up, it's because we bothered to show up. Do you know what I mean? We bothered to show up. We bothered to open our front door and head into life head on, greeting it where we are, saying, use me. I'm here. Let me give my gifts. Chocolate martini sliding in. And so I'm inviting everyone here this morning to begin that ride, and where we can all say, woohoo, what a ride. And so it is. All right.